Hi, eighth graders, welcome back. I have been trying for the past few lessons to be able to integrate a background that actually shows Manzanar, but I think because those pictures are so old that they don't really blend in as nicely as some of these other pictures. So hopefully some of you recognize what's behind me, whether through through the movies, but if you are a fan of the Harry Potter books, out my windows apparently is the castle at Hogwarts. So I have a whole bunch of Harry Potter backgrounds. I've seen things before where teachers will redo their classrooms so that it looks like Hogwarts and those kinds of things, and I've never really had the time or the craftiness to do that. We also never have the ability to actually read the Harry Potter books, so over the next few lessons we will explore Hogwarts as I teach from a multitude of different places. So that's the beginning of this, and then quickly it'll kind of become a teeny little box as we continue reading Farewell to Manzanar. So today we are going to continue, we'll be moving on to chapter 7, which is very short. There are only 3 questions that go along with chapter 7, so let's take a look at those. And you're going to submit and complete chapter 6 and 7 together. So I think that makes a total of only 9 questions. Yep, oh no, 8 questions altogether, because there were only 5 for chapter 6. So chapter 7, we have 3 questions. The first one asks, what was the charge against Papa that led to his arrest? He says he is innocent. Do you believe him, and why? Now, they did already hint earlier in the book what the charge was. That hint, they told what it was, but I believe they reiterate it again at the beginning of this chapter. Question 2, Papa hesitates when the interviewer asks him his feelings of loyalty toward Japan or its emperor. Why might Papa still feel some loyalty to his homeland? I want you to think about why he might pause on that too. Whether, how is that going to affect him on either end of the spectrum? What a torn place he is in. Just like earlier, it had mentioned how he's a man without a country. He has emigrated away from the country that he was born in, so he really hasn't been loyal to them, but yet he's not allowed to become an American citizen either. So it's kind of tricky for him. But why might he still feel some loyalty even though he's left? Question 3, what explain the analogy Papa uses at the end of the chapter to describe his feelings of torn allegiance. So he's going to make a comparison. We have to identify what that comparison is and try to explain that. Is this an apt description? Is that a good description? Why or why not? And you need to be able to explain why you think he made a good analogy or did not make a good analogy. All right, so hopefully you have your books handy. We are going to turn to the beginning of chapter 7, which is on page 60. And we see in the title that this is at Fort Lincoln, an interview. So this is kind of putting out there the interview between Papa and his interviewer. What is your full name? Wakasuki Ko. Your birthplace? Kake, a small town in Hiroshima-ken and on the island of Honshu. What schools did you attend in Japan? 4 years in Chugako, a school for training military officers. Why did you leave? The marching. I got tired of the marching. That was not what I wanted to do. Have you any relatives serving in the military now or in the past? My uncle was a general, a rather famous general. He led the regiment which defeated the Russians at Port Arthur in 1905. Have you ever been in contact with him since coming to the United States? No, I have contacted no one in Japan. Why not? I am what you call the black sheep in the family. So you have never returned to your homeland? No, because you are the black sheep and because I have never been able to afford the trip. I have 10 children. What are their names? How can I remember that many names? Try. William is the oldest, then Eleanor, Woodrow, Francis, Lillian, Rihiro, Martha, Keo, and let's see, yes, May. That is only 9. 9? You said there were 10. I told you it is too many to remember. It says here that you are charged with delivering oil to Japanese submarines off the coast of California. So there's his charge. They are claiming he delivered oil to the Japanese submarines. That is not true. Several submarines have been sighted there. If I had seen one, I would have laughed. Why? Only a very foolish commander would take such a vessel that far from his home fleet. How can you explain this photograph? Let me see it. Aren't those two 50-gallon drums on the deck of your boat? Yes. What were you carrying in 50-gallon drums 10 miles from shore? Chum. Chum? Bait, fish guts, ground up fish heads. You dump it overboard and it draws the mackerel, and you pull in your nets, and they are full of fresh fish. Who took this photograph anyway? I haven't gone after mackerel in over a year. What do you think of the attack on Pearl Harbor? I am sad for both countries. It is the kind of thing that always happens when military men are in control. What do you think of the American military? Would you object to your son serving? Yes, I would protest it. The American military is just like the Japanese. What do you mean? They also want to make war when it is not necessary. As long as military men control the country, you are always going to have a war. Who do you think will win this one? America, of course. It is richer, has more resources, more weapons, more people. The Japanese are courageous fighters and they will fight well, but their leaders are stupid. I weep every night for my country. You say Japan is still your country? I was born there. I have relatives there. In many ways, yes, it is still my country. Do you feel any loyalty to Japan or to its emperor? Silence. I said, do you feel any loyalty? How old are you? 29. When were you born? I am the interrogator here, Mr. Wakasuki, not you. I am interested to know when you were born. 1913. I have been living in this country 9 years longer than you have. Do you realize that? Yet I am prevented by law from becoming a citizen. I am now separated from my family without cause. Those matters are out of my hand, Mr. Wakasuki. Whose hands are they in? I do not like North Dakota any more than you do. The sooner we finish these questions, the sooner we'll both be out of here. And where will you go when you leave? Who do you want to win this war? I am interested to know where you will go when you leave. Mr. Wakasuki, if I have to repeat each one of these questions, we will be here forever. Who do you want? When your mother and father are having a fight, do you want them to kill each other? Or do you just want them to stop fighting? So that last statement, that is the analogy. Your parents are fighting. Do you want them to actually kill each other? I would hope not. Or do you want the fighting to stop? He's comparing these two countries. So Japan would be maybe the father, and America would be the mother. And these two countries, these two people are fighting. Do we want one to die and the other one to be the winner? Or does he? No. He can't pick a side because he comes from both. He just wants the fighting to stop. He wants his life to be normal. He wants to live a life without the fighting. So take that into account, explain that analogy the best way that you can, and then do you think that's a good analogy that he makes? All right, and I hope you have a great day. Nice short lesson today, and I will see you tomorrow.